Y'all, let me just say, it has been 1 week of PhD life, and a girl is tired. So right now I'm on my way to the store. I want to get some cool snacks for starting grad school. Literally everything I do at this point is just like because I'm starting grad school. You know, getting my nails done because I'm starting grad school, or watching Netflix because I'm starting grad school. Say hi, Zola! I don't know if I'm gonna upload this video on YouTube or not, but I am about to meet my lab mates for the first time, and I'm so nervous. Like, I have like the little, like, the butterflies in my stomach, and I'm like, they've all been so nice, but at the same time, meeting people over Zoom is just so nerve-wracking. Like, I don't know how to conduct myself. Like, is my background okay? Is my room okay? Do I look like I'm gonna look like in person? I don't know, but I did want to just document these anxious moments because I hope that, you know, a year from now I'll be able to laugh at it and be like, what was I so nervous about? Ah. Hey everyone, it is officially the first day of classes. Right now it is about 7 in the morning and I'm about to do a workout and then get ready. I have only one class today, so it's career counseling. We'll see how that goes, but I'm really excited and ready to start this journey, finally. I completely underestimated what it would be like to pursue a PhD in the midst of like a global recession and a global pandemic and a national public health crisis regarding racism and my people. Like, it has been a lot. So let's get into it. So y'all know that I am currently in my hometown. I did not move to New York City just to save money, and I think that it was the best decision for me to not go ahead and move to the city right now with all that's going on, plus it being an election year too and wanting to stay in my hometown for that. So I am pursuing the PhD 100% virtually. And it's different. And I wish, you know, I was so excited leading up to the actual start of classes. I was so excited. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to get to dive into coursework that I'm interested in. I'm going to meet professors. I'm going to make friends, you know, still expecting the same kind of atmosphere that I would have had if things were in person. But it's not the case at all. And unfortunately, no one really could prepare me for this because it's so unprecedented. So being completely real with y'all, I cried the first 2 days of my semester. I think classes started on Wednesday, and so I literally cried like Wednesday and Thursday, and then on Friday I actually like hopped on a plane to New York City to meet one of my cohort mates, and you know, I spent the weekend with her just kind of talking it through, which made me feel a lot better and a lot more energized for the next week. But those first 2 days were rough, and it's still rough. I mean, just realizing that what you had in your head isn't how things are playing out can be really devastating, and I'm having to really practice what I preach as far as resilience and being adaptable to new situations, because it has been testing for sure. I think the main thing for me was just trying to figure out how I'm gonna balance a pretty demanding job with my schoolwork. And I have to learn how to navigate the working world with the schooling world. And now knowing that school is my priority and not my job, I think it's an adjustment on my behalf as well as those who count on me at work. And so being able to kind of navigate that has been difficult for me because I'm not someone that's used to setting boundaries and saying no to opportunities or to things that people ask me to do. And so I found myself really overwhelmed when I had to, you know, do all these things for work, but at the same time complete all the readings for class. It was pretty rough those first 2 days alone. I also wasn't prepared to be nervous. And I know that sounds weird because I talk about imposter syndrome a lot, but I guess I just built up in my head like, oh, you know, this is going to be online. I'm going to be so bubbly and vibrant and my usual self and extroverted and talk to people. And when I got into like the the live online lecture and we did like breakout groups in my first class, I was so nervous. Like I didn't act like myself at all. I was super quiet, stumbling on my words. Like I'm afraid to even say that I'm in the PhD program because it still does not feel real. So having to do all that at once, it was terrifying for me. And I looked down and like my hands were like shaking on the keyboard because I was that nervous. And so that was another thing that I wasn't expecting, because I had this vision in my head that I'm learning I need to let go of. And of course the workload, right? Like, I mean, it is different from undergrad. So I don't have my master's. So this is my first orientation into graduate work. Well, I have been working for a year full time in a very fast paced job. I feel like that has definitely prepared me for time management kind of skills and just learning how to prioritize certain activities and deadlines and things like that. But at the same time, coursework is just a whole different beast. And I feel like graduate coursework is a lot of reading. And I kind of lost the skill of being able to read and pick out what exactly is going to be important. And I know it varies based on the class and the professor, but it was hard, and it still is hard for me to pick out that information that is really going to be useful and valuable for the assignments and for other requirements later on. So I found myself kind of reading and writing notes on every single line and every single paragraph, trying to absorb so much information. And when you're taking, 6 classes, that is virtually impossible to do. So that was just another adjustment that I had to make. I also found myself being isolated or feeling isolated. And I think it's definitely because things are virtual. A lot of my classes are asynchronous, which doesn't really work with my learning style. I like to be in the class, raising my hand, discussing. I really like that kind of real-time feedback and conversation. And so when I'm expected to, read all these chapters of a book, plus watch an online lecture, and then maybe discuss on a discussion board, it doesn't give me that same excitement, and it feels like a burden. And I get nervous, like having to kind of self-pace my way through these courses, because I really learn in real time, and having to do that with maybe say 3 out of my 6 courses, it's difficult, and it's an adjustment that I honestly wish I didn't have to make. And to go with feeling isolated, I feel like making time for, say, people like in my cohort or in my lab, it takes effort. Whereas like if things were in person, maybe I would see them in the hallway and be able to just stop them and be like, hey, what'd you think about this? Or go and meet somewhere in person. And now it's like I have to text and like set up a Zoom call, or it's more formal. It's not as natural and fluid of relationships as I had hoped for, which is fine, with my best friends that I have known for years. But when you're just meeting someone or just meeting people, it's really difficult to kind of get that same level of intimacy through Zoom and through WhatsApp or whatever it may be. So just looking for that connection and wanting that connection so bad, but not necessarily getting to have it yet, has been hard for me, because transitions are hard in general, and then doing it 500 miles away from everyone else is difficult. It's really difficult. But on a high note, I did get to go to New York City this weekend, and it was amazing. Having those 2 really bad days and feeling just so down. I mean, when I tell you it was rough, like I was in tears before my Thursday class. It was really bad. So getting on that flight, I didn't know what exactly to expect when I was going to meet one of the women in my cohort, but she was amazing. I could not have asked for a better time. We clicked so well, and it made me realize it's like, okay, this might not be as bad. I might have like this delayed gratification type thing when I do move to New York City next year. It's going to just be so much sweeter. It's going to be great. And I just realized I had to kind of step outside of myself and go that extra mile if I want to create and foster and facilitate these relationships that I want so badly. And if I want it bad enough, I'll do it. I'll hop on a flight to New York City because these people are awesome. They were really helpful, both the woman in my cohort and also my lab mates and other people in the program I got to meet were all really inviting and welcoming, and it not only energized me, it just made me feel like I was wanted. And I think that that's kind of hard to feel when you're so distant from everyone. It's really easy to get into your head. So I was super excited and happy for that opportunity, and yeah, I'm just really counting down the days until I get to move to the city. The last thing I want to note is that it is extremely difficult being Black right now. I mean, it's always been difficult to be Black, so don't get me wrong with that, but just, it is hard. It's hard being a Black woman on this journey where I'm expected to be so top-notch, or I'm expecting myself to be so top-notch, but I want to produce work that's amazing. I want to, in my courses, be the one who has all the answers. I'm aiming for like perfection. I think both because of, stereotype threat, and also just because I want this so badly. Like, I want to do well. I want to succeed in this so that I can help others like me succeed. And it's a burden that can be really motivating, but it can also be detrimental to my mental health. And I think that I'm learning how to protect my peace, whether that means limiting social media, because going on social media and seeing, people who look like my dad or my brother or my mom being killed by the police and others is stressful. And I felt like for a week there, I was really, every time I opened Twitter, that's what I was seeing, was videos like that. And it's hard. I'm also one of the 2, maybe 3, I don't want to be wrong here, Black people in the entire program. And while everyone has been so inviting and welcoming, and I have no complaints there, it's just being the only one is a burden in itself. Being the only one in the program makes me feel like I have to produce a higher quality of work, that I have to be extraordinary, because people look at me and they see the Blackness, and they see the Blackness in the program. I represent all of that. And so that has been something tricky for me as well. So recap, graduate school is hard, but it's not impossible. I think that moving forward, this week was really good. I was able to kind of stay on top of things. My cohort mates have been really supportive and kind of helping me with this whole asynchronous learning thing, just create times where we want to learn together. And so we'll watch the video together, or, creating a study group for certain classes. So that's been helpful as well. And so just, putting it on myself to make these relationships happen if I want them to happen, and also not beating myself up if they don't happen right now, because things are hard. And I have to realize, like, everyone is going through something right now, and it's super hard to put your all into online relationships and to online work as a whole with all that's going on around us. So there you have it. There's my first week recap of PhD life. I mean, honestly, I can't complain. It's tough, but I wanted this. And when I'm in the midst of reading, 125 pages for statistics, or on these discussion boards, posting, I just have to remember that I worked hard for this and that I wanted this, and I'm exactly where I want to be for so long. And so I have no reason to complain. I just have reason to make it better. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are going through some highs and lows in your PhD or master's program, please let me know. I'd love to hear what's working for you, what's not working, because we're all in this together, for real, for real. Bye.